Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another fabulous boot review. I'm so excited. This is the new Predator Edge Low 0.1. All right, fam. So the Predator Edge 0.1 came out about, I'd say 3 weeks ago. It's been pretty difficult to try and get my hands on, and I've got the Plus variation coming out very, very soon, probably in the next video or two. I try to break them up a little bit, that way it's not all just boot reviews, but needless to say, I've got both. I've got the high top laceless version, and then I got the low top, because the low top one, I've heard pretty mixed reviews about the whole Predator Edge line, but I've actually heard that for wide-footed players, they might fit really well. So I love the low variation. Anyway, typical box, nothing special. They don't do any string bags for the Adidas non-plus variations, as you know, and pretty standard box. These ones come in at $250 US, and I'm very excited. This is in the black colorway, so it's not the launch colorway, it's the black with the white stripes with the red and blue accents. So very, very cool. So we're gonna open these up, get a little bit of reaction. Again, I bought these or got my hands on these, and have not seen them in person yet. So very, very excited. Ooh, oh, these are super cool. Heck yeah. Okay, let me get this one out of the box and put that there so you guys can see it on the B-cam. Get this box out of the way. Those are sick. See, I'm gonna be honest, I think these look better than the previous generation. That might be, let me know down in the comments below, do you think these look better or worse than that previous generation? I think these look absolutely sick. So, as you can see, it's a prime knit upper. It's got a much stiffer upper, it feels like, than the old variation or the generation that it replaces. It's got a new sole plate, and it's a similar, very wide in the toe box. What I'm noticing right away is, if you noticed in the Freak Pluses and the Freak 0.1s, I'll compare these to the Freak 0.1 lows because that's obviously the most direct comparison. This is what it replaces. Look at the shape. So I'll try if I can get it in a white background. So the shape, obviously it continues with this really wide toe box area, but then as you move here, it's not as crazy thin as the generation prior, that Freak 0.1 low. What I'm really excited for is if this will break in a little bit in this area right here in that wide midfoot. Ooh, these could be an excellent option for me to wear. And yes, I've heard from SR4U and from Unisport and all these other big boot reviewers that these aren't a very good football boot, that they're super stiff and yada yada. But like, here's the thing about football boots, guys, if you have a shoe that fits you really well and that fits you correctly, it does not matter what anybody else thinks. You can still wear them, you can still break them in, and ideally, these could be maybe an option for me moving forward, because I love that grip element. I loved wearing the Freak 0.1, the Freak Pluses, but again, they were really, really tight around my midfoot, so they weren't perfect, but these actually look like they've got some decent width to them, which is exciting for me. So I'll give you guys a little bit of a closer look. Again, it's got these silicone grip elements, and these are super grippy. The one thing that I'm really excited for about this Edge 0.1 low is that they went with the non-demon skin. So they've come away from the demon skin, and my guess is that because they were having durability issues. So these obviously are not gonna come off. These are really, really sticky, and they're not as easily plucked off of the upper as those other ones were. Obviously, my guess is that what they're doing is they're just gluing them to the upper. They're not actually part of the upper as, say, I don't know, a pod out of Hypervenom 3 or something, which obviously isn't a grip element, but it's not, it's just fused to the upper as opposed to being part of that upper. Now, as far as softness goes, yeah, okay, it's a little stiff. It's definitely a little stiff, but the upper looks like it will break down a little bit and stretch to your foot, especially when you get it hot. So the hot water trick with this pair of boots might actually be the way to go. We'll have to check it out and see once I get my feet in them on the on-feet portion. Now, this video is gonna be a combination of an on-feet portion here in the house and then also on the field at the facility. So again, can't tell you where I am, unfortunately. I apologize, this is sort of a recurring theme in the last couple videos, but needless to say, you'll have the review here, you guys have the information, and we'll get a really good idea of what these feel like to play in. Now, there is a good chance that I will be keeping these and having these as part of my rotation if they do fit correctly, because I think Preds do have a wider fit, and for me, that's awesome. Now, if they aren't going to be something that I keep in my rotation, you can expect them to be on my website for purchase if you guys actually want to buy these. I'll definitely have them for lower than retail because I will wear them for a short training session, maybe 10, 15 minutes. So it's not much. They're basically brand new. I'll clean them off, etc. But you'll just have to check because I may actually keep these in the rotation, and I'll let you know sort of at the end of the video whether or not, because I obviously haven't filmed that part yet. So check the end of the video. Make sure you get that information if you are interested. These are a 9 US. This is my normal size 9 US. As far as the look goes, I think these look spectacular. I think these look super future AG. They look like a Predator, which is really cool. There's this little piece right here, and this is the part where this little like diamond looking thing that just, see, I don't know if this is a legit thing. It's supposed to be a little bit heavier to sort of, I don't know, give you a little bit more swerve, a little bit more power. Maybe they're trying to mimic what that, I don't know what it was called, the power swerve, that power swerve that used to be right in the sole plate. And yeah, is it pretty gimmicky? Yeah, because they haven't said anything about it. They haven't given us any information about what that actually is, practically speaking, how much it weighs, what it's supposed to do. It's just supposed to give you more power, which is kind of dumb, so Adidas do better. But as far as a colorway goes and as far as functionality goes, it's got some good snapback. It's a two-piece sole plate, so they aren't which is actually similar to the Freak Plus now that I think about it as well. They haven't changed much. The stud pattern doesn't look too different still. Let's see, 4, 8, 10, 11. 11 studs. Yeah, so you've got 4 in the back, and then of course the rest of them up top. What else do you guys want to know about this boot? Heel liner, suede material, pretty good. You probably can't see on that cam, but that's all right. These are just a really cool looking pair of boots, and my guess is, I've heard a lot of hate on the internet about these, and it sucks because obviously you want the Predator to be an amazing pair of football boots that lots of people love to just hop into and play. Yes, these are a little stiff, but my guess is if you break them in, if your foot fits inside this pair of football boots, and especially if mine does, I imagine that because they're a little bit more substantial, the upper's a little bit more substantial than, say, the Freak .1 lows, which were really moldable and that prime knit really molded to your foot, I'd imagine that the lateral stability in these would be fabulous. So if you can break them in, if you can get enough stretch in the upper to fit your foot, I think you could be totally fine in this boot, and obviously you're gonna get a absolute wild amount of grip on the ball, which is something to get used to. So in my play test and the videos that I produced and the games that I played in those Freak Pluses, they were super grippy to the point where I really had to get used to that feel on the ball, because it really does, especially if you're playing on a sticky grass field or a sticky turf field, they really do stick to your foot, and that's something to keep in mind as well. So overall, again, looks, I'd give this probably a 7 out of 10. I think these look fabulous. I think these look really, really cool. And yeah, we'll see how these fit and feel on feet. I'll give you guys my first reaction, authentic reaction, in about 5 seconds here. So let's get after it. All right, fam, with me, I've got the Predator Edge.1 lows. As you guys saw from the previous little section of this video, I'm very excited to try these on. I've unlaced them. They are ready to go. Let's get after this because I cannot wait to try these on my feet. Wide feet. Ooh. Okay, so, wow. Wow. Okay. So initial impressions. Yes, they are a little bit stiff. Like they definitely are a little bit stiff, but they fit the shape of my foot surprisingly well. That's really cool. My feet slide right in, so no problems there. Pull that tight, and I'll get these laced up. Wow, I'm super impressed. That's really cool. They fit way better outside of the, like way better than the Freak.1 lows out of the box. And that's saying something, because that was my honorable mention in my top 5 boots of 2021. And these fit my feet better, even though they are stiffer. They definitely fit my feet better right out of the box because of how the extra little bit of width in that midfoot. Holy moly, guy. Man. Okay, so I don't want to jump the gun and say I completely disagree with the rest of the boot reviewers online who are saying these are crap boots, but these fit my feet actually surprisingly well. They're definitely an interesting fit. Like they're very unlike anything else on the market right now. And that's something to keep in mind if you are looking for the Predator. Try to give you a little turnaround there as well. But yeah, they definitely are stiff. They're not as malleable, I don't think, right out of the box as something like the Speedflow 0.1, which of course is one of the softest boots as soon as you get into them. But that's what they look like on feet. And I gotta say, these actually fit my feet really well. They fit my feet surprisingly well. That's so wacky. I would not have thought. Okay, well, I'm really excited to have a go in these on the pitch. I will say the front of the foot, the forefoot area, definitely fits really, really nicely. The midfoot is a little bit stiff still, but that's to be expected from a boot. For anyone who has really wide feet in the midfoot, that is to be expected no matter what. Do I think these can break in a little bit? Yeah, I think these should be just fine. You get them a little bit softer, do the hot water trick to these ones, and I think they should be just fine. The heel area is a little bit worrisome, at least right now. It doesn't feel like, again, these aren't grip socks, but it doesn't feel like these are going to slip out. My heels don't feel like they're going to slip out, but they just don't feel as secure as the last generation did. But that's, maybe that's just a minor thing that I am sort of overthinking as I'm here in my living room trying to get this all put together. But I gotta say, guys, right out of the box, I'm sitting here, and here's the thing. So for me, as a person who has really wide feet, and I keep saying this because it is something that is part of me, it's part of the way that my anatomy is. My feet are really wide in the midfoot area and in the toe box. Something that I don't come across is a boot that I slide into, and I'm sitting here after, 5 minutes or whatever of chatting to you guys, and they don't hurt my feet. Like, that's wild to me. And yes, they're a little bit stiffer out of the box. They're definitely stiffer from both from most boots on the market, but also from the previous generation, which of course a lot of people argue, well, you know, in this day and age, you gotta be softer and you gotta do this. I don't know if I agree with that completely. I think if these break in as good as they should, no harm, no foul. If they're stiff out of the box, you just gotta break them in and it's no problem. If these don't break in, okay, valid point, no worries there. But as far as I'm concerned, these fit super, like I'm literally sitting here, I'm like kind of surprised. I'm really shocked because I was expecting these to be exactly how Josh and J Mike both were talking about in their reviews on Unisport and SR4U. Like they were talking about how horrible these were, how, you know, how terrible and stiff and blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, I get it. Like they're really stiff and they're definitely, they're not very malleable right out of the box. Like my feet, I can't really like flex my feet as much as I could in say a speed boot like the X Speedflow Pluses, like which are super malleable and my feet can move all sorts of places. But as far as the shape, general shape goes, these fit my feet really well. I'm super stoked. I'm really happy with that. That's awesome. Now let's see what they feel like on pitch and with a ball at my feet, because I have not tried that yet and I am really keen. But I do love the construction of this. So for a low top boot, I think these fit great. There are no hot spots in and around my ankle. I think they've done a really good job with the the way that it cut, like the cut that they have around the ankle, I think it works just fine. So let's hop into that on feet portion at the pitch, and we'll see how they feel with a ball on feet, and of course how the stickiness of these grip elements feels when you try and bend, curve, shoot the ball. All right, fam, today I have the Predator Edge Low 0.1s for you guys. Try them on pitch and get a good feel for what they're like on a turf ground. So let's just get them on feet. You guys saw up close and personal what they look like, but this is obviously a different game given that this is a turf pitch, so an indoor turf pitch at that, which is excellent. All right, so we're getting these all put on right away. They are super snug. Like these, if you compare them to other boots in the Adidas lineup, I'd say these fit more true to size than say an X Speedflow 0.1 or plus that fit like an 1/8 of a size long. So they're gonna have a tiny bit of room on the edge of it, which is totally fine because it allows for break-in and stuff. These have like 0 extra room in them. So let's get these laced up. I'm really excited to see how these fit and feel with a ball. And we'll go from there. So right away, again, super easy to get into. I will say they are definitely pretty stiff. That is one thing that I'm noticing right away. The midfoot definitely gets a little bit tighter as you go towards the heel, but I would say that the toe box is should be adequate for most foot types. But goodness gracious, these might need a hot water trick. Maybe what I'll do is I'll keep these no matter what and get that hot water trick for you and see if it actually works and try to break these in. So there you go on feet with the ball. Holy cow. You can already tell how sticky they are. I can hear it if you can't over the, look at that. It's just so sticky and it's coming right back towards me right away. So you gotta be, again, a little cautious with this type of boot right when you try to break it in because they are so sticky right out of the box. That's something to think about. I will say they are pretty stiff, man. I don't know if these are gonna be viable for an actual like game, but they do kick pretty well. I mean, it's a Predator, so you figure a little bit heavier boot, really solid construction. These happen to be like way stiffer than most Preds ever were. And goodness, they are sticky. Like I bet a long ball with these would be crazy, crazy, crazy. But as far as touch goes, it's a little bit disconnected, I will admit. So again, if you're talking about boots that give you that one-to-one sensation on feet, these are not that. First of all, you have a thick and super stiff upper that really doesn't give you that much one-to-one sensation. Plus you've got all these rubber elements. So you really have to be aware and break these boots in to fit your foot perfectly, because otherwise you're gonna have all sorts of weird spots where you don't really know that you're touching the ball, even if you are, if that makes sense, because on a pair of like Speed Flows or something, or a Vapor that's so thin, you can feel every little touch on the ball. With these ones, like I can barely feel my foot touching the ball, which is a super weird sensation. So as far as, again, general goes, they're a pretty cool pair of boots. I do like the concept of them. And like I would have to get used to the grippiness of the touch. But overall, I think these boots are gonna be suitable for most people. They are exceptionally stiff, so that's just something to keep in mind. These are meant more for sort of, if you want a type of boot that's really great with passing, you get tons of extra grip when you're trying to whip the ball, tons of extra sort of, not extra power, you're not gonna notice a power difference necessarily, but some boots do really give you that clean striking surface, which I think these do a pretty good job of. Again, as far as the upper goes and how stiff they are, I'm not sure if they're actually gonna be that viable. I will try and do a hot water test and try to break the hell out of these and see if I can get these to fit my feet perfectly and soften up. If they don't, maybe this boot is a total flop from Adidas. I'm sort of going back on what I said earlier about like disagreeing with Josh and J-Mike. I would say that these are definitely boots that you want to make sure they fit well, because they are so stiff right out of the box. It is going to take several hours of break-in time if you're going to break them in at all. And that's what I'm going to try and figure out, if I can do this hot water trick, see if I can soften the boots up a little bit and go from there. But overall, again, I think these are okay. I think they're an okay boot. I think overall I'd give this like a 4.5 or 5 out of 10. That's not to say that I don't like the look of the boot. As you know, I think these look really cool and I think they have a really cool presence on feet, but I don't think they're a very comfortable fitting pair of football boots. And when you're playing on a turf surface or you're playing on a grass surface, you want to take care of your feet, and that's something that's really important. So just make sure that you find the right size if you are totally keen on buying a pair of these. I think they will be suitable for most foot types, but again, keep in mind they are incredibly stiff. So just be aware of that moving forward. Like the video if you got value from it. Subscribe if you haven't already, guys. That is it for the video. As always, be awesome. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.